Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video for the month of April. Last video, we talked about living your life, not putting your life on restriction and things that you want to do on restriction. Live your best life as a single person. This time, I actually want to talk about altitude. I actually got this when I was on the plane last month, and I was, things just come to you sometimes. And so today I want to talk about checking your altitude, okay? So when we think about airplanes typically the cruising altitude is 30,000 to 40,000 feet, okay? So, why is it so important to get that high in order to cruise? So, this is due to the fact that it's less resistance and the air is actually thinner the higher you are. And it also allows the plane to fly faster, and it also allows the plane to burn fuel more efficiently, okay? So flying low could be very dangerous, and there's a danger there to flying low, and there's a reason why cruising altitude is not below 30,000 feet. Number one, there's obstacles all the way closer that you are to the ground. So you got buildings, you got all kind of things that you know are could possibly be in the way. Okay, so you have obstacles everywhere, and your actual have a greater risk of crashing the lower that you are. So what does cruising altitude have anything to do with your life or your spiritual life, as you may ask? Good question. So whenever you are cruising or flying at a low altitude, you are living beneath the level of life that God has called you to live, okay? That's why you always hear people say, God is calling you higher. God is calling you higher. God is calling you higher. There becomes a particular point in your life where God does literally call you higher because you're flying too low. What does that look like? Things around you just you don't feel the same way about them. When God was calling me higher, my whole entire life looked different. The people I hung around no more, I didn't feel the same way about. Things I used to like to do, I don't do no more. That's what the songwriters say anyway. Like, I didn't like doing some of the old stuff I used to do. So, like, when God calls you higher, that means your altitude is increasing. That also means that a lot of people probably ain't gonna go with you either. So whenever we are cruising at low altitudes, we are living beneath the level of life that God has called us to live. So when we live in low altitudes, this is what this looks like. It looks like compromising, compromising yourself. It also looks like living in fear and not stepping out and doing what God has called you to do because you're fearful. It also looks like shrinking back, knowing God is calling you to the front, and you keep that. I did that for a while, so that's why I can laugh. That's living in a low altitude. And so remember when I said when you live in a low altitude, you are more prone to hitting obstacles. And that's why a lot of times you'll see yourself trying to do stuff and it don't work. Or you try to promote your business to certain people and they don't receive it or they're not supportive. It's time you flying too low. You gotta get higher to a higher altitude, okay? So it's really hard for you to navigate your purpose if you flying too low. You got to get to a place where, and I know a lot of times our low altitude is a reflection of our comfort zone. I'm comfortable right here. I don't want to go up too much higher. Like, this is my little comfort area. This is where I want to stay. But if you know God like you know me, if you know God like I know God, gotta come up higher, because that is not, like I said, too many obstacles when you're too low. Okay. So cruising altitude actually allows the plane to fly more efficiently. A lot of times when you find yourself burned out, it's because you're at a low altitude and you need to get to a higher place so you can cruise more efficiently. Okay. There's less resistance, there's more stability, and clearer skies when the higher that you are. So you have to get to a place where you have a willingness to get a little bit higher. All right, so how do you know that you are living in a low altitude mindset? I'm going to share a few of those points with you. Number one, like I said before, is fear. Fear keeps you grounded, literally keeps you grounded. You ever been in an airport and the plane is scheduled to take off and it is taxiing on the runway for like 30-40 minutes, and you like, when we gonna take off? That's a lot of times how fear actually works. We freeze in place and we don't move because we're so afraid of launching out and stepping out and doing what God is calling us to do. So fear is actually probably the worst thing that keeps you at a low altitude. It's the worst thing that keeps you at a low altitude. Um, Living in fear, allowing a fear actually dictates your decisions, and it actually honestly keeps you in disobedience to God. If God is asking you to do something and you are staying grounded due to fear, you're actually operating in disobedience out of that emotion. So fear is one of them. Mediocrity is another one. So settling for good enough instead of reaching for excellence is another way you could be flying in a low altitude as well, or avoiding challenges because you feel like they're going to be too difficult, so you want to go the easy route instead of the route that God is asking you to do. That's being mediocre. Okay, that keeps you at a low altitude. Something else, being spiritually complacent. Spiritual growth is probably one of the most important things for you as a believer. Okay, so if you're not praying, not studying your word, and you're not growing your relationship with God, it keeps you flying at a low altitude. You ever try to have conversations? Listen, you ever try to have conversations with people about biblical things and they're at a low altitude? They'll never understand what you're talking about. That's why I'm telling you, that's why you will never see me argue with people on social media about what the Bible says, because I'm like, I don't even know what altitude you flying, and if you lower than me, I definitely ain't gonna argue because you don't even understand what I'm talking about. You don't even understand what I'm talking about. So, so being spiritually complacent is also an issue as well. Every every week you should be trying to grow some kind of component of you spiritually increasing and growing in the Lord constantly. And I can say for myself, I'm not the same person I was last year. I'm not the same person I was the year before last, or the year before that, or the year before that. There should be consistent growth in order for you to fly higher. There needs to be consistent growth in you spiritually. Last but not least, of course, sin and unforgiveness can keep you flying at a low altitude. I don't care what preacher told you, what messenger told you. Sin will keep you flying as low to the ground as possible. I don't care. I don't care how good you sound, how good you talk, how good you pray. Sin will keep you at a low altitude all the time. I'm telling you right now. Won't nothing weigh you down more than that. So refusing to live a righteous lifestyle and to continuously indulge in sin keeps you spiritually low. Don't let nobody come and tell you that you can do both. It ain't possible. It is not possible. Can't serve two masters. Can't serve two masters. So not letting go of a sinful lifestyle, and when we talk about unforgiveness, having bitterness in your heart keeps you operating at a low altitude. Having resentment in your heart keeps you at a low altitude. Unforgiveness keeps you at a low altitude. Pettiness keeps you at a low altitude. You ever seen a Christian be bitter? Woo, it's like poison. And then get in the pulpit and then spew that poison all over the congregation. My God. Woo, my goodness, low altitude. Okay. So this is why God calls us to forgive and to let go. Because that stuff keeps you, literally keeps you way down. Hebrews 12:1 actually talks about letting go of sin and bitterness and resentment, because it literally weighs you down. That's what it says in Hebrews 12:1. So in order for us to get higher and grow higher in God and do the things that he's asking us to do, we gotta stop being fearful. We gotta stop operating in mediocrity. We gotta continue to grow spiritually, and we have to forsake sin. Do not live your life in sin, and always forgive. Always be a forgiving person, because those are the things that's going to keep you operating at a low altitude, and it will be very hard for you to rise in God. It will be very impossible. So I wanted to come on today and share that word with you. Check your altitude. Check where you at. I have to check my altitude every day. I'm going to be honest, because I have some days where I can be at work and my attitude is on low altitude. My attitude is on low altitude, and I have to check myself so I can get back up to a place where I can cruise at 30 to 40,000 feet. Okay. So I wanted to come on here and share that word for you, word with you guys, to check your altitude and continue to grow in the Lord. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.